Our next speaker stepped down last year from running the retail giant John Lewis in order to run as Conservative candidate for Mayor of the West Midlands. Andy Street studied politics, philosophy and economics before beginning his career with John Lewis as a graduate trainee. That was only after he was turned down for a similar role with its chief competitor, Marks and Spencer's. Marks and Spencer's, I think we can say this was not just a mistake. This was a great, big, eye-watering mistake with lashings of hindsight and a side order of humble pie. While Marks and Spencer's struggled a little with its non-food trade, Andy moved quickly through the ranks at John Lewis to become managing director, and his time in charge saw its online sales operation grow rapidly, while its stores doubled in number. Now he's the bookie's favourite to become mayor, and he is the first would-be elected politician to say he wants to be paid by results. He recently told the Financial Times, "I will set out a plan and I will deliver." That is the business approach rather than a career politician's approach. Welcome, Andy Street.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Yes. So good afternoon, everybody. I think the introduction there was a wee bit overblown. I'm sure someone else went to Marks and Spencer's and did a brilliant job, so we shouldn't read too much into that. But it's lovely to be invited here today. I know I'm the sort of businessman amongst all the professionals and politicians in the running order for today. So what I've been asked to do is talk a bit about the John Lewis story as a sort of case study of digital, then talk about Birmingham and the West Midlands and just what's on offer there. So those are the two things I've been asked to deal with. But I have to say, before we go any further, that it's brilliant timing to be here today, because I was in Pakistan last weekend, and Amjad, thank you very much for your part in organising it, and also I should thank Mohammed Afzal, who is Director of Conservative Friends of Pakistan, because he also put the tour together. So last Sunday morning, I was at the Faisal Mosque and the Monument of Pakistan, and then we had meetings with the Chamber of Commerce and also with the diplomatic corps there. So we'll talk a bit more about my impressions of Pakistan and what I think lies ahead for our two nations in a moment. But first of all, I did just want to come to the John Lewis story, because that's what I think you've invited me to talk about. So today's all about digital, and John Lewis, I like to think now, is a digital leader. When I started as Managing Director of John Lewis in 2007, we took £268 million in online trading. That sounds respectable, but really it was only the beginning. When I left last year, we took £1.8 billion. So thank you, it's very sweet of you. But the point is very simple, that in a flat retail market, and everyone faced a flat market, and lots went out of business during that time, let's be clear, we saw that this was the growing area of business and got absolutely resolutely behind it. So in 8 years, we increased our sales online by 7 times. And we have now become probably the best online trader in the UK in terms of share share of business taken online. So it's about 45% of John Lewis sales are now taken online. And in the peak weeks immediately before Christmas, it's over 50%. So we can actually say that we are an online-dominated business. And of course, the special thing in the story is who'd have thought a traditional department store, I mean, you could hardly find a more traditional business than John Lewis, would emerge as the leader in the newest field. That's the sort of surprise of the story. So the obvious question is, well, how did that come about then, Andy? Because the opportunity was there for all of our competitors to do the same. And the answer is actually, it was about one simple strategic business decision. In 2008, we were facing the crash in the retail market. Our profit was down by about 40%. And we just said, we are going to take a decisive move now to get to what we said was an incredibly ambitious target of £1 billion online. And what I learnt is that in business strategy, you've got to place your bet on the table and go for it hell for leather. There was no sort of second debate about it. We were going after that. So we swung all of our capital investment to support online trading. We've spent about £500 million on building the warehouses, building the IT systems. We've recruited the necessary people. So we wanted the best online traders in the country. It wasn't good enough to have second best. And we spent a huge amount of our marketing budget online as well. And of course, you will all know John Lewis has become famous for its Christmas ads, and just one example of the speed at which this market is moving in the UK. 2 years ago, 13 million people saw our Christmas ad on the day it launched. 12 million saw it for, sorry, that's wrong. 2 years ago, 13 million people, 6 million people saw it for the first time online, on digital platforms. 7 million people saw it for the first time on TV. A year on, same 13 million people saw it, but 12 million of them saw it for the first time on a digital platform. So in just 12 months, the market had moved ferociously like that, and it told me the future direction of the business. But that's the John Lewis story, very briefly, but it was about a rigorous, resolute business decision, and then getting everything lined up behind that. But I turned my back on that last October, left John Lewis to stand for Mayor of the West Midlands, because I just saw this opportunity of having a mayor. You all accept it in London. A mayor for Birmingham, for Wolverhampton, for Coventry was a wonderful once-in-a-generation opportunity, and I've been on the campaign trail ever since then. And going to Pakistan last weekend was about part of the campaign. You will all know there is a huge Pakistani diaspora in the West Midlands, and I wanted to go and understand more about their country of origin and understand just what could be done to build on those relations well before I was even elected. The High Commissioner there, Tom Drew, wonderful man, second biggest British diplomatic mission anywhere in the world. He was full of ideas about how trade could be developed, and similarly, the lunch with the Chamber of Commerce was incredibly positive. And I took away 3 things from those meetings which I think are relevant background today. First of all, the energy of the Pakistani business community. It really was intoxicating, frankly, if that's not an inappropriate word to use. There was so much determination to do better. Reminded me of how Britain was at its best. There's huge goodwill to the UK. That was the second obvious point. But the third point, which really comes to my message that I want to conclude with in a few moments, was there was real uncertainty in the Pakistani business community about what was going to happen post-Brexit. So many people said to me, will you become an isolationist country? Will you step away from your international commitments? The answer, of course, is no, but it was striking that the question was on everybody's lips. And so that's why I wanted to send the message today that I am a fervent believer in free trade. I know Theresa May and her government are fervent believers in free trade. And this, of course, is what links back to my city of Birmingham. Birmingham became the wealthiest city in the empire in the 19th century by being the city of free trade. The whole sort of idea of the workshop of the world, the 1,000 trades based in Birmingham, and that sort of stamp made in Birmingham on products that you saw all around the world was a sort of stamp of quality. But sadly, Birmingham and the West Midlands economy has declined over the last few decades, and we've now seen quite intense social problems in the West Midlands, and it's partly why the West Midlands voted more than any other region for Brexit this last summer. But the good news is our recovery is really underway. And one or two just stats about the Birmingham economy. It is now growing faster than anywhere else in the country. 5% growth in 2015, that is an incredible number for a mature Western economy. Exports are up by 30%, we're the only part of the country with a trade surplus with China, and new businesses are starting faster in Birmingham than anywhere else outside London. So it's a real turnaround in the economy. And that's really why I wanted to step forward to be mayor, because it's a great time of resurgence. There's still lots to be done to really exploit that resurgence and address the challenges that we've got. And I'm very clear that the digital economy in the West Midlands is the way we will address that. Of those startups last year, 26,000 new businesses born in Birmingham last year. Over half of them were in the digital sector. So I link what I see there in Birmingham with what I saw in Pakistan last weekend, with the huge Pakistani diaspora, and say there's a real opportunity to bring the three together here. So my simple message of today is Birmingham is the fastest growing area, focusing on digital, and it gives every Pakistani business, both in Britain and in Pakistan, a wonderful opportunity to grow together for the future. If I'm elected mayor, making sure that happens will be one of my first goals. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to lay out that opportunity today. Thank you very much.